Good evening and welcome to Anime Analyst-US. I am your host, Thomas Fry,
And I am your co-host Husnain Zaid.
and we are here to talk to you about another anime tonight. Now, we did another show on this last Monday, and we were going to do it on Monday, but then I had what's typically known as a brain fart, and I forgot that I watched it already, and so we moved it back to Wednesday, and then I went and watched it again. I was sitting there thinking, I got like to episode 3, and I'm like, I already watched this. I was like, man, sorry, so I blew it. So we're doing it on tonight. I just realized how bad I am at spelling. We are doing Oshi no Ko, and squeeze my banner that says Mushi no Ko. I I don't know what the hell I was thinking when I did that. Sorry about that, but hey, we're gonna turn into a comedy act here. Just hang out and watch out what's going on. And on this night, Oshinoko is a pretty serious anime. It's a drama. It's almost a thriller. Because he is set. He is gonna go kill this guy that killed his mom, and I feel his pain. I understand that, and this thing's got a score of 8.63 at Mal. It's got a score of 8.6 at Analyst.net. I mean, this thing is scoring in the high eights everywhere it's listed on all the blogs and everything. It's ranked number 83. I'm surprised that it only has 400,000 members. You would think it would be, close to 1 million. I didn't see how many were on any list, but it's enough to where everybody gave it a really high rating. And 400,000 people is enough for you. If it's not a great anime, they're not going to give it a score that high. Although these stats that we use may not be official, they definitely are a good guide to what people think. And some of them could be skewed a little. That's why we're not saying they're official. Because different people try to do different. People are dumb in general, all of us. We always try to inflate the stuff we love even better and deflate the stuff we don't like even worse. And usually it's kind of all down a mellow road. But this one, the protagonist is a very dark character in this anime. Beyond what you normally think he would be, beyond what a normal person that dealt with this. But, you got to feel for the guy. I mean, he was holding his mom's hand with blood all over it, blood all over him, blood all over her as she died. Even though you're a toddler, you're not going to forget that. That's going to haunt you for years. And Aqua turns out to be this smart kid. It's I was trying to describe him as kind of rough. We got the main characters Arcana, Akane, and Aqua. And then you got Mom as Ai and her daughter, his brother, Aqua's sister is Ruby. And the first 2 seasons are around Aqua's obsession with killing the father that killed her. But they throw a loop in the whole thing. I mean, they throw a whopper in there, right? I mean, what is it? Episode 11 in season 2. Now it's over. And I'm not going to say what it is because I'm not into we don't give away spoilers here. But you got to check it out. Man, you got to, the loop that wow. It sat me back in my seat. I'm like, oh shit. If you don't catch this, and Akane did. She don't even know that I mean, she figured out that his mother is I, but she. That's what I'm saying. He's got to stay with this girl. This girl is smart. I mean, she took just the psychological evidence of her observations and put it to a conclusion that was dead on, even more accurate than what Aqua was going through living it. She's on the outside in and figured all this out. That's what I'm saying, man. This dude's got to be smart, man. You got to grab that girl. You don't want to let her go. You get a girl that's that smart and that good looking and that great of an actress. Aqua himself is a good actor if he just opened up with his emotions. And getting past all this, even if he doesn't solve it correctly, would probably benefit him immensely. Um, what's your take on this whole thing?
Okay, so I get it, like how you sum up the anime, like it's good, and I think like Aqua has a purpose, like he's getting the revenge, like he's just trying to figure out like who is the guy, and like I think that's why. And when he was holding her mother and she was dying, and that like closed all the emotions, like that's the day that they both changed the personality. Like the Ruby, she didn't saw that, but he was there. So that's the thing, maybe that's why he's not able to express the emotions, or like he has not the focus on the girl, but he's playing the part beautifully, like
Yeah.
he's using her to
And
like
to play
basically.
someone that's traumatized and emotionally inept is. Alright, so let's take a minute here. Even though he's not a real character, the way they wrote this story, the artist is, or I should say, the writer is an artist. Because to be able to, when you write a story, you have to think, and everything that your thoughts are, you have to put down, and you have to put down who says what, and you have to put down who thinks what, and you have to be all those characters in one. I looked at the list of characters that are. You know how many characters are in this anime?
Yeah,
Close to
definitely.
40. 40 characters. Now, can you imagine the mind of this writer being able to write 40 lives independently and put one of them, your MC, your protagonist, one of the MCs. They got three main characters on this one. Um, and it just, the depth of this writer's knowledge, I mean, that's what blew me away. And then they took this story, the director takes it, and did as far as I'm concerned, a perfect a score of 100 on getting the actions of the characters and the voices correct. Didn't miss a beat. And it is not something to be able to, create a character. All right, that's pretty tough in itself. That's why these directors are honored so well. But to be able to take a flawed character and play it out throughout the whole story exactly right from the beginning. And then on top of it, it's an isekai where the dude that was involved with the girl and he helps her have both her babies to a point because he died that night. Um,
Yeah, but like there is something like you see, like is it like it is not close to the isekai like normally we see in the anime. Like the doctor died and he gets rebirth at the same place,
I
just like.
guess you could say reincarnation, not an isekai.
Yeah, and then the girl that was like her name was Serena, like who is her sister now. Like she died like couple of years ago. Like so like and
Well, have you ever noticed that? let's take Spirit Chronicles, okay? Because this will really throw you for a loop. All right, when um Mirahu got transported to the world was the day of school. He saw her, okay, and then he went on living in the world for 4 or 5 years after, and she just up and disappeared. The day she left the school, he said, I saw her, and then she like disappeared from the planet. That magic circle came, it took the five of them away. But yet it didn't place him in the world. Remember, he spent another 5 years in Japan, got into a bus accident, went to the new world as a baby, was born, lived to 15 years old, and then Marahu was transported. Time has no bearing when you transport someone on a timeline versus one was isekai and one was transferred. Well, the one that was isekai, we're talking 20-year difference. And they both end up at the same age, at the same spot. And now he's already lived another 20 years before she gets plopped down in there. So time has, when you're dealing with magic circles versus whether someone's reincarnated, isekai, versus being transported or summoned, they could, someone, she wasn't summoned, she was summoned, but she was summoned by the gods, not by anyone on that planet. So when they brought in, they have no concept of time. So it was a 20-year lightning bolt from when the beginning to the end. So the fact that he went from being in his 40s to dying, and then his soul transplanted from his body into the baby, and then lived. So there's just the time that passes from the beginning to the end of the story. I've never seen the time frame be the same on those three different actions. And it's just you can't the time. I'm having trouble explaining it. The time doesn't matter. It's not because when you're living in a body, time loops. But when you can go outside of that time and see the beginning to the end. So when a god is looking down on the earth, he sees time as linear. You and I are living in time as a loop. That's how the reincarnation works. So to stay to the same rule, when that god pulls somebody out and throws them back in, he's pulling them out and then throwing on a linear time scale. When you're reincarnated, you grow up, you get killed, you get poof put in a baby and go. That's a circular time scale. And the transportation and summon is on a time in a linear time scale. So that's the best I can do on explaining that. And this writer knows that, and they fall. That's what I'm saying. I am so impressed when the writers and directors follow the rules that everybody has for creating anime.
They have like also follow the rule like how they portray the showbiz, like how they portray the fandom, like how the people are trying to get famous and how the crime is like happening there, and like they have some of each and everything to a point where like when we started, like I was not the fan of the slice of life and anything like that.
Yeah.
I think like this is the best anime like without any action or like any magic like things like
And this
that.
would be
The story,
considered slice of life. I mean, I think you get it now, and I've been hoping for this. I mean, you actually got it about 4 or 5 episodes ago, where when we had that long conversation about it. But there are a set of rules that are out there, and if you follow those set of rules, it makes for a better story when you follow the rules when you're telling the story and you keep everything. That's what makes the slice of life good. You can throw a couple of whoppers in there, but generally you stick to the same rules. It makes it easier for the consumer to consume the anime because you learn what's acceptable and what isn't, and that's how we live as human beings. We're not just all over the place. We like rules, or we wouldn't make laws. And there's 200 countries on planet Earth, and every one of them has laws. I mean, you're living under some strict shit, where I have freedom. It's not fair, but that's how the world is. Human beings need structure in order to thrive. And they got this, and Slice of Life follows those rules. And I think that's why you're comfortable in watching it now, because you get it now, and you also are getting the harder points, even the stuff I'm having trouble explaining. I know you understand it. I'm just trying to, I have a little trouble trying to explain it on stuff. And this anime has it all in there.
yeah,
I mean, the
yeah,
dedication of the girlfriend, the anger from Kana of not being, loved by Aqua, and they stay. I hate when an anime goes all off. They don't follow any rules. To me, that's a cartoon. An anime is something that has structure, makes you think, and it could be a comedy, it could be a drama, it can be sci-fi. It doesn't matter what the genre is, as long as you follow the rules when you're writing it, when you're directing it, and everything else. Now you can bend those rules. That's what they're there for. The rules don't have to be the same from anime to anime to be the same. The rules that you live under are basically the same rules that I live under. It's the individuals that break those laws that, you have a lot where you live, you have a lot more people that can do whatever the fuck they want in government. And, as long as they throw a little money at the person over them, it's okay. Well, that don't fly over here. But it wouldn't work because we have almost 500 million people living here. Look at how China is. They've got, what, 3 billion? I mean, they are stacked on top of each other. Japan's got a lot too. And Japan has almost as much freedom as we do. But they have more respect for themselves. China is more like where you're living, but after Tiananmen Square, they kind of mellowed out on that a little bit, and the government of China are a bunch of pricks, and But anyway, let's not get into world topics. But sorry.
yesterday I was watching a interview of a ex-CIA, and he was like they were doing some operation in Pakistan. He really summed up that like what is being like Pakistan. He said like Pakistan is like size of a Texas, and you have 250 million people living there.
Yeah.
So you can just imagine that, so like how it is there, like how like they were trying to find somebody, so it was like not easy to.
Well, I've heard different people say that in America you could take the 500 million we have and put them in Texas, and they'd all fit and have room. We're really spread out here. Really spread out. I mean, we have rural areas where you could drive for 100 miles and you'll only pass 50 people that live out in that area. There's a Highway 10 in Texas. I think it's a 40-mile span between exits because people just don't live out in that desert. So I get what you're saying, and maybe that's where the difference comes in. You know, when we're this spread out, you have to give people freedom. You can't be, up their ass about what they're thinking when they live that far apart. So maybe it's because when you get the tighter the population, the stricter the laws, and you have to do that. It's a lot harder to live in New York than it is to live in Texas. And that would be the same. So, and that's what I'm talking about through the whole thing, and that's what this anime portrays. It follows those very rules, but it also shows you the dark side of being a teenager when you're struggling. When he's got PTSD so bad it ain't funny. And he thinks he's gonna go kill this guy. Now, whether or not he can do it, I don't know. But you gotta watch the show, man. I want to really talk about this episode so bad, but I will not give away. Damn it, that takes away half my commentary, not being able to give away that spoiler. It's that good, people. Check this anime out. Watch the whole thing, and I recommend watch season 1. Go back and watch it again before you start watching season 2. Because there's a lot of stuff that happens in season 2 that directly references season 1. His past. And that conversation between the director, Akane, and then the conversation between Akane and Aqua, you gotta know what happened, hell, in the movie, or you're not going to understand that scene. And, the first episode in season 1's an hour and a half long. It's a movie. I think it was put out into theaters first. And then they made a season out of it. So they just made the movie episode 1. But, yeah, we went a little long tonight, but this is a good movie. Now, I know you need to get back to work, so we're going to have to cut out of here. But we got some videos coming out on Animated Studios here pretty soon. And have a good holiday. Thanksgiving's coming up. That's tomorrow. So chill, mass, and relax. We'll be back here on Friday with another episode. So when you're there, check out our Twitter or Facebook feed, and we'll have the poster for what we're going to be talking about Friday. But have a good holiday. So happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.